Hi there, it's Bruce Wallace from Dundee and Victoria Chess Club in Bonnie, Scotland. Now, I'm not going to show you a whole game. I posted this game earlier on YouTube, but because you only get 10 minutes, I couldn't look at some of the complications. I'm black, and I'm a pawn up, and that's a pass pawn on d4. And in this situation, white played knight h to g5, hitting the e-pawn. Now, what I could have done was just chop the bishop off with the bishop, which was actually very strong. Or played, say, queen b6, or there's other moves that I could have played. But I played bishop c8, and it's a bit of a wimpish move. And then white played queen h4. And then I played h6, which pins the knight. And I thought, game over here. And I actually picked up the knight, intending to take, and put it back on its square, and my opponent said, you have to take, and I says, yes, but I can take with the bishop or the pawn. And then I began to look at it and look at some of the complications. Now, I did take the game to my chess club, and I showed it to Colin McNabb, the resident grandmaster, and I says, can you take the knight? And I was expecting an answer like, yes, it's safe, but Colin started analysing, and it's tremendously complicated. Yes, it is okay to take the knight, but some of the continuations are very hairy. So, for example, taking with the pawn, f takes, and let's try a move like bishop c5. What happens then? We have g6, and what if black plays any move, say queen to here? What happens? It's a mate in 4. Queen here, king f8, queen 8h check, king e7, queen takes, and mate. So, not a particularly good continuation for black. Let's go back to the position, to queen h5, and pawn takes, and say a move like king f8. Now, what do we have for black? Believe it or not, a move like g4 is very strong. So what does black play here? So what about the king goes back? Well, it's just g6. And any move. Queen h7 check. King f8, and that's mate. So, not particularly good. Let's go back again. Pawn takes. Have we looked at bishop c5? I think we have. Again, bishop c5, and g6. Now, what black needs to play here is actually the move rook e8, because that allows the king an escape square. And what do we have after that? Queen h7 check, king f8, and then rook c1, d3 check, king h1, and d2. Knight takes, queen takes, knight f3, queen takes b2, and this is only a slight advantage apparently to black. So queen a1 check, knight here. So it's not clear on that line. So let's go back again. Queen h5. Have we exhausted all the lines? Let's try king f8 immediately. And basically that would be what? Sorry, knight takes pawn. Pawn takes. g6. Queen takes g6. King f8. Queen h7. d3. King h1. King e8. g6. So anyway, after looking at this for ages, I thought, what am I going to do after this? And I was just so frightened about making a slip up. I merely exchanged off, and pawn took, and I offered a queen exchange. Queens came off, pawn took, rook here, and he won back the d pawn, and it ended in a draw. However, just say that instead of touching the knight, I thought about the position for a little longer. What could I play? Did I have to take the knight? And I'll ask you that question. And you can pause the video and have a look at the position and decide what is the best move, so pause it now. Apparently the best move is rook here. And the reason for that is the king's position is absolutely solid. Black has no real weaknesses here. There are no sacrifices on. The knight is still on pre, and all of white's pieces are on the king side, and black can go over to a counter-attack. So let's say white brings the knight back. We then have moves like queen c2. This is just some example lines. And then the pawn becomes rather dangerous. Bishop d8 here. Knight d4. And black is just winning this outright. So if we go back to the position of queen h5, it's a one game, but my mistake was just thinking that the only move that I could make here was taking this knight for some reason. And perhaps I was worried about this check here. I mean, if the queen goes here, what happens? Queen f7 check, wins the bishop. So that wouldn't have been very wise, and that was scaring me. But really, the move, rook to f8, was absolutely solid. So I think it's just a lesson well learned. Don't look at the obvious, and don't get fixated on particularly a knight around your king if there is no obvious way for it to inflict damage. So unfortunately I threw away a win there, but I think lesson well learned. See you again on YouTube.